She was introduced to many of us on season 10 of RuPaul's Drag Race as the bodybuilder Barbie. She became the lip-sync assassin, tearing the house down. And she taught us that it's okay to be introverted and show it to the whole wide world. Her name's Kameron Michaels, and she's about to be exposed. Hey, Kameron.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Are you surviving quarantine? Are you going crazy like I am yet?
You know what's the weird thing about that is that like my introverted self, because I relate to you on that level, I feel like there's a level of being too introverted for an introvert, and then you like go insane.
Well, it's like you realize you're like, I don't really like being around people that much. I don't like it. I want to like my space. And then you're in quarantine for 3 months and you realize, okay, maybe I'm not as introverted as I thought I was.
So let's get talking a little bit about little Kameron. Now, you were born and raised in Ohio till the age of what, 5?
Yeah, like 4 or 5, and then Michigan for a little while. And then from 6 on was Tennessee.
And so what was it like growing up in the South for you?
As cliche as you might imagine for a young gay youth. It wasn't that fun. I don't know what growing up in other states was like, so I don't know how to compare it. But I can imagine living in a more liberal state or a more open and diverse community probably would have benefited my career now. I mean, I could have been in dance. I could have been in so many things that, I don't think were easily accessible to me in a small Southern, what word am I trying to use? Conservative community. So yeah, it wasn't that fun.
Well, let me ask you, because you are known for doing your crazy theatrics and your crazy like kicks and flips and all of the stuff that you do on stage, especially when you're lip-sync assassin. So were you in dance when you were younger or no?
No, I have never, other than rehearsing for tours and, the stuff that we did on the show for rehearsing for, the Final Four episode and stuff. I have never taken an official dance class in my life. No, never. So anything that I do is just like me flopping my body around, just like to a beat and hoping that it looks good.
But what about the crazy splits thing when you go down and do like...
Maybe that comes from like when I was little and while the kids were playing kickball and doing all these other things, I was with the 3 cheerleaders in the corner learning cheers. So I was that kid. I was like with the cheerleaders, like cheering because boys weren't allowed to cheer. So I was like doing it at recess instead. I don't know. Maybe that's where it started.
So you're growing up in Tennessee and then you, of course, are a gay man. But when was the first time that you remember actually liking a guy?
I mean, like, I was messing around with boys when I was like 14. It's probably really young. Don't do that. So, I mean, around like early teens, I think is when I kind of knew. Like, I may not have known what it was or like why, but like, yeah, I knew that I liked boys pretty early. Like I told my mom when I was 14. So that's pretty early.
What was her reaction?
I think she knew. I think I was trying to spit it out and she ended up like beating me to the punch. So she was fine. I think I was a very obvious gay. So I think she knew the whole time. She was just waiting for me to tell her.
So you end up making the transition to Nashville.
Yeah.
What age did you do that? And then what was the scene in Nashville compared to your smaller town?
I was doing drag actually and like going and staying in Nashville every weekend because I was 18 throughout my whole senior year. I was like one of the older kids in my class. So I was already going to clubs and partying and meeting drag queens and go-go dancing, doing a lot of stuff I should have been doing as a senior at a Christian high school. But you get in where you fit in, and I fit in really well in the gay community. I moved when I was 21. 20 or 21 was when I actually moved, and it was amazing. There were the gay people, drag queens, like stuff that I had never seen before, unless I saw like Queer as Folk on TV.
And you talked just recently about you were go-go dancing, and then that's how you were exposed to the drag scene.
Yeah.
So what was the push behind you to actually don drag for the first time?
I just remember seeing drag queens and being like, oh, like, just like, Southern drag is it's probably changed a little bit, but when I was growing up, it was to look as much like a woman as possible, which we all know now is not the definition of drag. Drag is just putting on makeup or putting on anything and transforming into whoever you want to. But when I grew up, it was about looking like a woman as much as possible. So I just remember seeing these drag queens and being like, she looks like a woman. That's a woman. You couldn't tell me that's not a woman. So that's what I wanted to do. And that's kind of the drag I grew up with. And one of them just asked me to do a talent show because they knew I loved it. Because I would always, I would have to be pushed by the manager to go back on my go-go box because I would keep hanging out with the drag queens backstage. And he's like, go work. He's like, you're supposed to be showing shots right now and shaking your ass in a Speedo. Go work. So they knew I loved drag and they just made me do a talent show. And then it was downhill from there. Yeah.
Never looking back.
Never looked back.
Your name wasn't originally Kameron Michaels, was it?
No. It was Ariana St. Clair, which was just so dainty and precious, and it just was not me, so I had to change it.
Wait, but that's two different spectrums. Ariana is so feminine, and then you have Kameron that's a little bit more masculine. Was there a reason for the change?
Once I started figuring out my drag, I was originally I wanted to use my first name, which is Dane. That's common knowledge. You can look that up. I'm not I'm sharing my social security number or anything. So I wanted to use my first name as my last name. So I wanted Danes to be my last name, but I still wanted a boyish, girly name. And I was like, oh, Taylor is a unisex name. I was like, what about Taylor Danes? I was like, that's cute. And then one of my friends was like, you can't be Taylor Danes. That's an 80s pop star. And I was like, damn it. That's the name I wanted. So then I gave up on using my last name and just came up with Kameron Michaels out of literally nowhere. Just chose two names. So
when you started drag, were you already built and fit? Were you already working out, or did that come later?
That came much later. I started dabbling in drag when I was 18. I didn't start going to the gym until I was 24, 25. So drag was way earlier than the gym.
Did you find that a hard thing to be able to go from not having any muscle mass to then gaining the muscles and then changing the aesthetic?
It was a little disheartening because I took a break from drag. And then when I came back and started doing it again, I had new muscles that that showed that I didn't have before. And so the drag queens were like, oh, you can't wear sleeveless things anymore. You have to cover up your arms now. You have to do certain things to hide the more masculine aspects of your body now since it's bigger. And I'm like, oh, that's not fun. So yeah, it was a little challenging in the beginning. And it still is sometimes. I won't wear spaghetti strap stuff. Just my personal preference.
I mean, I think that you can totally get into Naomi Smalls clothes. We just give you those and then you're...
Yeah, that would work out. So I'm sure that corset would fit just so well on me. Yeah.
So the year is 2018. You're announced as a contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race. Where were you when you got the phone call?
Oh my God, that is a funny thing to remember that because I don't ever talk about it. I was walking out of a Sally's Beauty Supply. I was really into painting fake nails at the time. That was my thing to do was get stoned and paint fingernails. So I was walking out with all these new nail polishes and my phone rang and that's who it was. I mean, I don't remember who it was at the time, but it was one of the interns that was doing all the calls that day. And I was like, wait, what? And so I had to I was like, well, let me get where I can get good service. And I remember actually telling her to hold on because I was checking out at the counter and I don't like being rude to people at the counter when I'm checking out. So if I'm on the phone, I'm like, hey, wait a minute. And I put the phone down so I could engage with the cashier and not be a dick on my phone before I walked out. So I remember telling this lady to hold on and she was had this news waiting for me. It was kind of oops, sorry.
And was season 10 the first time you had auditioned?
No and yes. I auditioned for season 7 or 8. I think it was 7. Jaden Dior is from Nashville. It was the same season as her, so I think that was 7. But I sent in my audition tape at 11:30 on the deadline that night. So I don't know if they watched it. And it was a really shitty audition tape. So season 10 was my first real attempt at auditioning, I think.
So you get on, and I remember that I was kind of confused because your promo look wasn't anything that you actually had on the show. Was that your actual clothing for the promo look?
Half of that clothing was mine. I don't even remember what it was. I know I had the jacket. The jacket was mine. I I don't think the skirt was and the shoes, like the black shoes. There were a few very questionable decisions made at that fitting before we did that promo shot. But it was like, I think it was day 3. Like we shot our promo like after episode 1 or something like that. It was a weird where we shot it. But it was still very early on and I didn't want to cause trouble. I didn't want to cause ripples in the water. I wanted to be very like, sure, whatever, la la la. I'm here to make everybody happy. And whereas some of the other girls were like, no, I'm not fucking wearing that. No, absolutely not. And in retrospect, I should have been like, no, absolutely not. I'm not wearing that.
So you walk into the workroom.
Well, I auditioned for pit crew, but this is going to be way more fun.
What was your first impression when you walked in?
I think anybody that has been on the show can relate to this, that it's equal parts exciting, but also terrifying. Because they really like, up until you walk in, you don't get to see other people. You are held by yourself in your hotel room. Like they cart people from the hotel to the stage in separate cars. Like they keep you completely hidden from each other until the minute you walk into the workroom on camera. So yeah, it's terrifying because you have no clue who you're up against. You don't know if you happen to know anyone, or if they're all going to be strangers. So yeah, fun, but also really terrifying.
In looking at your season, you were known as being kind of the quiet and the introvert. Do you think that was all part of the edit and editing you in that light, or were you actually extremely quiet on stage and on set?
No, I've always been very honest about this, that I was terrified. I'd never been on camera before. And to be in that space where you know this is a huge deal and this could like alter your career depending how well you do or like how you present yourself or how the world sees you on the show. So I was just terrified the whole time, like 8 cameras around me, all these girls, in a competition setting. So yeah, it was terrifying and I really didn't give them a lot of content. Now, I remember doing far more interviews and far more confessionals than were shown. So I know that they have a lot more content of me in the archives somewhere that they chose not to use, but equally I was terrified and was quiet. So I think it was kind of half and half.
Well, one thing that a lot of people were not quiet about is that you were labeled right when you walked through the door as being like the trade of the season.
Yeah.
Now, my question for you is, you got a lot of people saying that you look good. You have a lot of people like thirsting over your Instagram pictures. Does that ever in any way make you uncomfortable by being constantly sexualized?
I remember when the article came out. I don't forget which publication it was, that was like new trade of the season or whatever the headline they used. And then it really blew up from there. I remember somebody tagging Pearl on Twitter or Instagram or something like that, calling me the trade, the new trade, that I was like replacing her or something stupid like that. And she was like, take it, absolutely take it, have it. I don't want it anymore. Because she's been vocal, I think, before about feeling uncomfortable about being sexualized as like, the trade of her season or whatever. It has never really bothered me like that. I don't really get uncomfortable. Most recently, I've had some issues with social media, but it doesn't correlate to me feeling sexualized or uncomfortable by being betrayed. Sure, tell me I'm cute. I don't care. I'm happy with that. I'm not going to feel bad about that. Please. No, like I'm not going to take the compliment. No. Mm-mm.
So you're on the show. You end up being in the bottom 2 for the first time as we're getting towards the end of the season. And you turn out this freaking lip sync. Then the next episode, you turn out another lip sync. Then you turn out another lip sync for the 3rd time in a row. That 3rd time, what was going through your head?
Oh, I was angry. Ooh, I was so mad. I don't think this made the edit. I don't remember. I honestly didn't watch the last couple episodes of my season, and I still have not. I remember Michelle looking at me, and it wasn't even when I was told I was in the bottom. I think it was during critiques. So I wasn't even in the bottom yet. I wasn't told that I was going to be lip syncing, but I remember getting negative critiques from all the judges. And I remember feeling really good about like my outfits, like they were costumey for sure, but that's kind of like my drag. If you watch like my drag con and stuff, like I wear costumes, like I'm not always doing fashion stuff. And I just remember getting critiqued so hard for being costumey, and my face must have been like, whatever face I was making, I had those white contacts in. I remember Michelle Visage looked at me and she was like, you just look like you want to hit me right now. You look very angry. And so of course I was like, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm fine. And inside I was like boiling because I thought I did good that episode. And they were like, no. And also it was my third time lip syncing. So I was like, motherfucker. Like I was so mad. I was so mad that day.
I mean, but you broke the curse.
Is that a curse? Is it 3 and done?
Yeah. You were the only one ever to be 3 and not done.
In all seasons or just mine?
All seasons.
Again, I'll take the compliment.
So you end up and you make it to the finale. I remember interviewing you on the red carpet, and I was like, "Oh my God, your dress was fucking beautiful. Like everything that you did was so great." We get to the reunion episode, and I know that one thing that stuck with me. There were 2 parts actually. One was I don't think people really understood, or the girls understood, the introverted side of you. How did that make you feel? Do you think that they actually didn't understand you, or do you think it was just what they were seeing on the television?
I think that I am a little bit, I think in my most recent Work the World, I was trying to think, where did I see this? It was in my Work the World episode recently, where Naomi Smalls was like, Kameron is the most quietest person I've ever known in my life. But when cameras grow up or when something goes up, like the character comes on. And I agree, but I've also learned that my quietness can be misconstrued as that I legit don't care. Like I just don't care about anyone else or what's going on around me. And that's not necessarily true. I mean, I'm a drag queen. I definitely probably think that I'm a little self-centered sometimes, but I think it hurt when they're like, you just don't care about any of us. I'm like, no, I do. It was just a competition. Like we're all supposed to be like worrying about ourselves. And like, it's not like I didn't talk to them. I did. And then it did not help that, I didn't get any like confessionals or any like a lot of airtime. So it made it completely like believable that I was just an evil cunt. And I just never talked to anyone, especially when none of them voted for me. So yeah, but no, I think they all kind of like get me now that I'm just weird.
I think it comes and goes. I think with any introvert, like, it's like a thing. Like my big thing is like, if I'm in a room with really big, like a lot of people, I just sit in the sidelines and I just literally am like, okay, would I hang out with this person in real life? Let me like judge them for a second. Let me like take it back. Like it's too much at times.
Well, and you have to think about like, it's not like it's specific to my season. Like Monique and Eureka and Cracker, Mayhem, like these are all very like larger than life personalities and girls, So when they're all like vying for airtime and screen time and like getting the one-liners and the punches in, I'm not going to get shit in. Y'all are going to hear me say a word because I'm just not loud enough to like carry over the other girls. So a lot of times I would just be quiet, which clearly it kind of worked and kind of didn't. Like the edit worked out in my favor, I guess, because people like got to know me throughout the season. But like next time that cannot like that excuse is gone. So I have to be loud next time to to show my face.
Do you have fans and stuff who appreciate the introverted side and being like they can relate to a queen on a different level?
Absolutely. I have a lot of introverted people that will message me and like thank me for like showing them that they can exist in an extrovert dominant world, which a lot, and especially the entertainment industry, my God, I mean like, but I feel like when you get to know like Broadway people and other people that are in the entertainment industry, a lot of them are introverted because them being on stage gives them that platform to step out of their, hiding in the box and be extroverted and crazy. And then they go back to being introverted as soon as they get off stage. So it's a kind of a common thing, but I guess in the drag world, I was the first one where they're like, what is wrong with her? Why doesn't she talk?
Let me ask you about, you get to the finale and one of your friends, Asia O'Hara, you end up going against her in the lip sync. I have a question for you because I know that was a big thing and it was a big controversy. But when I was sitting in the audience for that, I didn't know that there were actually butterflies until the stagehand started like scrubbing everything up. Did you know in that moment?
While it was happening or at the end?
While it was happening.
Absolutely not. I had no idea. I had no idea because that is a time that I will admit I was completely self-centered and worried about myself. I was not paying attention to her. I have no clue what she was doing until I saw, the links to Lipsync later. All I was worried about was proving that I am a good performer. And I wanted to make sure in that lip sync that I didn't pull a split, that I didn't do a split because I apparently did it in every other lip sync. I was like, let me prove that I can win a lip sync by performing without pulling this stupid stunt or something like that. I may have done a cartwheel, I don't know, but I didn't do a split specifically in that lip sync to prove that I didn't need to. So I was not paying attention to her. And if you remember, there was a meme going around where I'm like holding my arm and looking down. That moment when I looked down was the first moment that I knew that they were real butterflies. And it's so funny that people found it and made a meme out of it because it was legit like, what the fuck why are they moving?
When you prep yourself for the finale and they have like the potential of having a 3 or 4 songs that you could potentially perform, do you have different outfits for each song or do you just have like the 2 just in case?
I don't think this is a secret. So we were given the lip sync songs, and of course it was the 2 Janet songs, and then what's the name of that other song? I hate it so much now.
Bang Bang.
Bang Bang. I'm like, I try to forget it now. They made me do it in Vegas like every night too. So I'm like, this is like torture, you guys. Anyway. So we knew there were 2 Janet songs, and then we knew the finale song was going to be Bang Bang. So I had the one outfit for the first lip sync and then my final outfit. So I just knew that my outfit was going to work for either Janet song. So no, I didn't have specific outfits for either song. I just had the final one and then the first one. I don't know if other people did, but I only had 2 outfits.
Speaking of Asia, because we just covered her, I have a question about your friendship. Now, I know that in 2018-ish, like once the show was done and over, there was some internet drama about some things. And you ended up tweeting out, I love when my personal life is used for entertainment value on social media and in front of a theater full of 1,300 fans, #unprofessional. Now, Let me ask you, were the assumptions correct that it was about Asia? And if it was, how did you get past that to be friends today?
Yeah, actually, there is a project coming up that I cannot talk about, but this is addressed in there if it makes the cut. But I'm happy to talk about it again because it's not like a secret or anything. It's funny, I just like cleaned out my social media recently just to have a fresh start. And I came across that tweet where I was, just being a brat and being like, so basically what happened was Asia and I had like a little tiff at a meet and greet. It honestly wasn't that big of a deal. But looking back, like she was upset about something and I didn't realize it at the time. And then me doing something like made her even more angry. And so then like, I was like super butthurt because like, she overreacted at something because she was like, having issues with something else. And it just made me feel so upset. I was like, why is she acting like this? Like, why is she so angry with me? And so then we just had like a couple days where her and I were just like, oh, like we wanted nothing to do with each other. And then we kind of like, I think she talked to me first or something and we apologized and we're like, girl, why were we even fighting about that? It's so stupid. Like when you're best friends with somebody, you're bound to fight about something. And that's the only time we've ever fought. But I remember during those 2 or 3 days, she was still using a joke about me in the set, in the theaters. And so I was just like fuming already about her like thing with me. And so I was like, no, she's not allowed to use this joke anymore. It just like went off on Twitter, just like stupid drag queen drama.
So you're close with her now?
Oh yeah, no, we're totally fine. Like this was before Can Do Queen. Like this is before, and like we honestly got closer after that. Because we've done every tour that I've been on, she's been on with me since season 10, since 2 years. So yeah, we've been through a lot of shit and a lot of countries and a lot of places together.
And one thing that you ended up venturing into shortly after your time on Drag Race is, and I'm going to say this, and I want you to tell me if I'm completely crazy. In 2019, you went into the music realm and you released a song called Freedom. And it's now off YouTube. Did you take it down?
I did. I have had several quarantine meltdowns. And that was one of them where I just cleared out all my social media. And I left Freedom, if the diehard fans are like keeping up with like what's still there and what's viewable, I left Freedom the first time. Like when I deleted all my shit, I left Freedom. But then like the second meltdown, which was more recently, like I think it was even like last week, the week before, I cleared everything. I was like, no Freedom, no nothing. And I deleted everything. If Freedom is not up there right now as this interview is going up, I will put it back up. I'm fine now. We're good. The meltdowns are over. But I did clear it out, and I'll put it back up. I just forgot to put it back up.
Well, let's talk about the meltdowns and that you deleting social stuff. Like what led to that?
Sure.
What led you to those moments?
So the first one happened, I would say like a month and a half or 2 months ago. It's probably like halfway through quarantine. I think I just got really overwhelmed because I started doing TikTok. I started doing YouTube makeup tutorials. I was doing Instagram. I was shooting Work the World Lives, our Work the World Live show. I just had a lot of content going on, but like no social interaction or like, I don't know. I just got to this space where I felt like I was like in front of these lights, just by myself, like doing all this shit and just working and working and working and editing and editing and editing. And it just like, it took over my life and it wasn't fun anymore. So I just quit. I was like, most of this stuff is just content for fun. I'm not making any money off of it. So I just quit. And then the second meltdown, I think, was just like, we had the coronavirus and then we have, you know, the issues with racism. And I think I'm kind of an empath. I wouldn't usually use that label, but like, I don't know, something in quarantine got to me. And it was like, just like the energy of the world on top of like me feeling weird about my own content just led me to be like, fuck it, I'm done. And just clear out everything. I don't know. It was just one day where I probably ran out of weed or something stupid where I was like in a terrible, awful, like meltdown mood. And I was just like, I'm done.
Well, one thing that you said when you came back out of the woodwork and then you saw that everybody was going crazy was, you know, you ended up putting out like a little bit of a statement, but in that you said that you weren't happy with who you were previously. What were you not happy about?
I said that the day that I posted it. I halfway meant it. I meant it when I said it because I had scrolled. I don't know how long people have been on Instagram, but I've been on Instagram for 8 years. So as I was laying on the couch during my meltdown, scrolling through because if you know this, if you've ever tried to delete stuff or because I archived some stuff. Like, let's be real, you guys. I didn't delete all of my shit. It's archived, please. Like, I'm gonna like get rid of all those like cool drag photos like in Europe and all these other places I've been around the world. I archived a lot of shit. But regardless, when you're clearing out an Instagram page, you can't do it all at once. You have to click on each individual picture to archive or delete it. So I did that over 3,000 posts over 8 years. So I just saw some posts from like 2017, 16, like before I got on Drag Race. That was just like, why was I doing like just shit that I was doing for social media that is just not who I see myself as today. And it just made me feel like, it made me feel gross. You know, like some of the stuff you've probably done in your past for attention that we all have. And I was just like, why was I posting stuff like that? So I just was like, I do not want to see that. I don't want to see it. Get it off my Instagram.
So during this whole process, I assume you picked up your phone, you called RuPaul and you were like, delete all your social too at the exact same time that I'm doing mine. Yeah.
You know, since RuPaul and since I have her phone number, please. Like any other queen, I don't even have a selfie with RuPaul. I have been in the room with RuPaul, other people, and 4 cameras. That is the only time that I've ever been in a room with RuPaul. So like come back like after like 2 or 3 days and see that like her and I are involved in some controversy together was like, oh my, it's like, I literally try to get away from social media because of all the rumors and like all this crazy stuff going on. And I come back and this is a rumor now. I was partly angry. I was like, why would she do it on the same day that I did? Like, what are the fucking odds? I still have no idea why. I don't have her phone number. I'm not going to call her and ask her why she deleted her shit. But it has zero connection to whatever she's doing. I don't know.
I just remember being on the internet and everybody was like, there's a correlation. And I was like, I don't.
Oh, when I saw the out.com article, I was like, Mary, oh God. So I was like, now I guess I got to get online and like dispel these rumors that RuPaul and I are involved in some scandal together. Jesus.
Going back a little bit in time, in the end of last year, in 2019, you're going to be doing RuPaul's Drag Race Live in Vegas. How did that come to be? And do you prefer actually being in a home environment, like staying in one location and performing nightly, or do you prefer the tour aspect?
I love touring. I really do. I toured for about the first year and a half before I really even got a break. I was like working constantly. I would be home for 2 or 3 days at a time, once a month, and that was it. I loved it. But of course, after a year and a half of that, you get tired. So Vegas for me was the first time that I would be staying in one spot and working, which I've never really had that. When I lived in Nashville, I wasn't on cast at the local bar, so I didn't leave my makeup and leave my clothes in the dressing room. Like if I went and performed on a random weekend, I had to carry a suitcase to the bar, take my stuff home with me. I've never had like a resident dressing room or a resident space. And Vegas is the first time I've had that. So I loved it. I was like, I get to go up at my apartment, have breakfast, go to the gym, and then go to work and come home and go to bed or go to the bar. Like it was really nice. I really enjoyed it.
Is there any hope for it coming back after the quarantine?
I am hearing September-ish. I don't have a date though. But again, that keeps changing. It was August, it was July, and it's still not either of those. So I'm hoping that it's September, but I don't know. I don't know. Nothing, like it's all up in the air right now.
Well, another thing that you end up doing Work the World, you have Drag Race in Vegas, and then also you're doing an upcoming thing coming up that's a little drive-in thing, right?
Yeah. So basically what it is, it's kind of exciting. It's like a drive-in movie theater, but it's for a drag show. So of course, you know, the cars are going to be parked pretty far back. So from the like pictures and like the drawings that I've seen of the stage, we're going to have like a big projector so that the cars in the back can, of course, see up close. Kind of like we do with Work the World. I think a lot of Work the World places, there were big screens so you could see the show. But basically, yeah, it's like rather than sitting at a theater to see us, you get to sit in your own cars. And then we're going to do like an opening number, a closing number, each individual number. So it's kind of like a drive-in Work the World.
That's so cool. It's so different too. It's like such a different thing. Like, you know, like a little traveling drag show. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool. And like, I don't know how other states are. I know that other states are really lax with like phases and where they are in opening and if bars are open or not. But here in California, like, I know that Abby was doing like a thing where the girls were performing, but they had to wear masks, and it was like a thing. And I was like, ooh, I would hate that. So I don't think the girls are performing anymore right now. So it's honestly an opportunity to see drag because we don't get to see as much drag anymore right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of seeing more drag, you said in a recent tweet, I was pretty uneasy about competing against Shea Coulee in All Stars. So you can imagine my joy from watching her slay at home instead of slaying me. Does that mean that you were asked to be on All Stars 5?
Which is funny that I saw a couple people tweet that, and I'm like, how did you get, like, that didn't register with me. Like, and I was like, and no, that's not what I meant either. I did get a call for All Stars, but I don't think it was 5. I think it was 4. I don't remember when it was, but I did receive a phone call and there were conversations. And I think it's too early for me. Like, I'm not ready yet. But I don't think it was 5. I don't even remember when it was. It doesn't matter. But that's not what I meant by my tweet. I just meant I knew that there was a chance in whatever All-Star season I ended up on that I would be seeing Shea Coulee walking in the workroom, and I would be absolutely terrified. Not terrified, but like, it's pretty clear. It's very like obvious information that she is an absolutely amazing queen, and she's funny. She's beautiful. Like, she's a force to be reckoned with. So, I mean, like, it would be a battle, but like she'd probably end up winning. So I'm glad I'm watching from home.
Would you do it again? Would you do All Stars if they asked you to come back for 6, 7, 8, whatever?
Yeah. I'm definitely at a point where I am more inclined to go back. Now that I'm more comfortable with like being in front of cameras and I know more about me and my place in the industry and like how I feel about myself. I'm much more confident. I think there'd be much better TV of me now that I kind of get what's going on. I was going to say something else. But like, I not really soon because I'm kind of broke right now, as I feel like everyone is. So me trying to I remember how much I spent for season 10 and it was not cheap. And so I can only imagine All Stars would cost me more than that. And I don't have that kind of money to be thrown down right now for all these costumes. So don't call me right now. Don't call me. In case y'all are watching or thinking about it, I don't know when we're filming the next All Star. Don't call me yet.
If you were on All Stars, the one thing that you would kill would be your lip sync for your legacies. Like that would be.
But see, the problem is, I was lip syncing because I was doing bad, and I was like, oh, I get to lip sync to save myself. If you do bad in All Stars, you don't get to save yourself. Because if you do bad, you just sit there and watch the top 2 perform, and then they choose, you should go. So like, unless I'm doing good in lip syncing, like if I end up being in the bottom again, I can't save myself. So I'd kind of be fucked.
Or maybe you could just run on stage during that part and then just,
Tag me in. Yeah.
Well,
if I was watching like somebody like say like me and Asia were on the same season and like somebody's lip syncing against Asia, like I'm like, I know Asia doesn't have my lipstick. Like, you better win, bitch. Like that kind of shit.
Well, another thing, like you took your lip syncing and you've turned it into something crazy because I've seen so many TikToks of you.
And you're also blithely unaware of the fact that in 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns. And then I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here.
And you literally get everything to a T. Your breathing is right, your lip nuances, everything is so on point. How in the world did you notice that you were good at this? And then how do you perfect that?
So, I mean, lip syncing, of course, started with drag. And like, I knew I was like a pretty good drag queen, but then Dub Smash came out. I don't know how, it was years ago. And people kind of before Drag Race knew me for doing those. And I was like, oh, this is really fun. It's like lip syncing on stage, but it's instead doing like a character. So I would do like the Grinch, Jim Carrey, Brenda from Scary Movie. I would do all these like dub smashes of like movies. And then it kind of Dub Smash died down. And then I avoided TikTok for a long time because I'm like, I'm too old for it. I don't know how to do it. I'm too old because like it's always like Gen Z and like 20-year-olds, and I'm like, I'm too old for TikTok. But then I started realizing that like, oh, there's like movie sound bites and stuff on there. I'm like, because I'm not doing all this like, I'm not doing all these like dances and shit. I'm here to do the lip syncing. So yeah, I found that and I'm like, oh, I can resurrect the movie like, or all the lip syncing shit. Yeah, I love it. It's fun. It's fun for me. It keeps me entertained.
I mean, you're so good at it. And I think that that's the thing. Like, you see so many people that do that and that they'll, like imitate a movie or do whatever. And you're like, oh, it was okay, but it's no Kameron Michaels.
Yeah. And that's the only thing I'm like, I need to see every breath. I need to see like eye movements, like looking around, like I should believe somebody else is in the room with you for talking to them. Like, that's how I love to do them, is like, it is a full production for me. Like, it may look simple, but like when you watch like the nuances, like the breaths and like the look, and it's like, there's a lot that goes into them.
One thing that you're also known for, you're known for your bodybuilding, known for your lip sync, you're known for your tattoos. Now, do you have a favorite tattoo?
Yeah, I would say that this whole arm is my favorite. Sorry, my arms are hairy. I didn't shave them. So like my Jurassic Park tattoo. So it's like the amber with the mosquito in it, the 2 raptors. And then on the other side is, you can't really see that one, the alien queen from Aliens. That's probably my favorite pieces, because it's like childhood movies, and that's why I got them, because I loved those movies when I was little. So those 2 are my favorites.
And another thing you're known for is your gaming. A lot of fans want to know, are they ever going to see you on Twitch?
I did Twitch for the first month of quarantine. Not personally, like I didn't have my own personal channel, but I had a friend staying with me for a little while that had a Twitch. It's Chase Closey's his name. Gamer Guys was something that they were doing with WoW Presents. I was on that as well. So it's like a video game show. So I was on his Twitch channel and we were playing Resident Evil 3. We were playing Resident Evil 3 on Twitch for a little while. So that was fun. I enjoyed it. Again, Twitch is something that came out like after I got a little older and I'm like, I don't know how to work at. So, I mean, I just played Last of Us 2. I probably could have streamed that whole thing, but I'm like, I don't know how to work it. But I guess if Trixie and like Fifi and everybody else can do it, like I'm really letting my gamers down by not doing it. I don't know. Maybe I'll figure it out.
I think you should. And then, like you can go and get some coin to be able to pay for those dresses on All-Star 6 or 7, there you go.
Absolutely. Now, do I have to be in drag? I mean, like, I know Trixie does, but like, I have to be in drag?
Fifi doesn't.
We can't call her Fifi anymore. Jeremy.
Yeah, Jeremy.
Jeremy isn't. So I probably wouldn't do it in drag. Just I'm like, I don't want to sit in drag and play video games.
I think people would watch you more for doing it out of drag.
Yeah, I think I'm like, yeah. Can we let's make that if I do, we're doing it out of drag.
What do you think the biggest misconception of Kameron is?
I don't know. I feel like, which we already talked about, I feel like the misunderstanding of like me being like quiet, even in my Work the World episode, if people watch that, it kind of still relates to my like relationship with the other girls. And like, I get along with everybody, but like not everybody gets to know me, I guess, which I feel like is a lot of people like that are introverted. It's like, we don't let everybody into our little bubble. I don't have the energy for it. Like I can't be best friends with 20 people. Like I just can't do that. The thing about introverts is we have a battery life. And when that battery life depletes, my Uber's here and I sneak out the back of the club. Like that's just like, it's what we do. We ghost parties all the time because our social battery goes, and then it's like, I have to get out of here right now. And that's just something about us that happens. And I'm the same way in any like situation with a lot of like big personalities and energy. I tend to like just like clam up and get quiet and just observe. So I think that's the misconception, is that we're being shady or that we don't like people. It's not that I don't like people. I just don't like a lot of people at once.
I think I'm going to take this clip right here. I'm going to cut it, just that, and I'm going to send it to all my friends every time that they like bug me or do. I'm like, this is how I feel. This is how I feel.
Yeah. I lost my socialness. It flew away. The stork came and took, I don't know, something happened, and I can't be social anymore right now, so I have to leave. I'm sorry. Bye. I don't know. We're weird. I promise we're nice. We're not bad people. We're just like, we just have to run away sometimes.
Looking at your drag, what is the thing in your drag that makes you the happiest?
Performing. Absolutely. Performing, hands down. And I think that's another thing why I quit doing quarantine content, because I was like, this isn't fun for me. I was like, yeah, I'm getting in drag, and it's like, oh, makeup, but like performing, I think is very obvious my favorite thing about drag. And for me, not having been able to do that for so long is like crushing. Like that's my favorite thing, is to perform in front of people. And it's not even for the attention. It's for my own, like the fact that people are entertained by it is great. I love that. But it is strictly for my own like soul. Like when you're a performer, that's what you need to do, is to like leave everything on the stage. And that's what I do almost every time that I'm on stage. Like even if I've been sick at gigs, like I remember one gig in Alabama, I was food poisoned, sick. And I still got out there, and they would have had no, like splits, twirl, everything. They would have had no clue that I was sick, because that's what I do. Like I'm a performer.
It's a total correlation from you being introverted, and then you can be your extroverted self on the stage. You get a good happiness, you get an audience reaction, and then you walk off the stage and you can just be done.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing that I know there are other drag queens like me. So, and not necessarily the introvertedness, but just like that we enjoy performing, and that's where we like get our life the most, is like being in front of the energy of an audience. And I know a lot of us are probably suffering right now, and then maybe they're just not talking about it like I am. And I haven't even talked about it that much. I've just been vocal about like me having issues being in quarantine for so long. And I know that a lot of other queens feel the same way. It's like we miss everybody. We miss our fans. We miss performing. We miss all of it. I mean, that was our life. We're used to being busy, and now we're like, so it's not fun.
Just at a standstill.
Yeah.
If you were out of quarantine right now and you could for one day be in any drag queen's shoes, past or present, who would you choose?
Any drag queen and not be myself?
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like, okay, I don't think this is controversial, but like, I feel like a lot of us, not that I say controversial things ever, but for a lot of us, I think we grew up with drag off of TV. Like, I grew up with drag in the clubs. That's where I grew up. It was crude. It was rude. It was people, drag queens were mean. Like that. I mean, like, and it's kind of still spilled over with certain queens. But a lot of us, if our personality or how we're portrayed first off is not catty or sassy or anything like that, we don't get to be. We get in trouble if we get like sassy or like rude or like catty. Whereas other queens, like the clown herself, Miss Bianca Del Rio, has made a career off of being an insult queen. So if I would trade places with anybody for like a day, I would be her. So I could be mean as fuck to everybody and get away with it. Because like, I am mean. Like if you saw the Work the World episode recently, I basically said, I'm really mean to my friends. And I am. I'm so, but in like, it's playful. It's playful. And that's how I play with people that I like. Like boys, if I like a boy, oh, you're in trouble. You're in so much trouble because I'm literally going to hit you, throw things at you. Like I'm that girl on the playground that's like really mean to somebody that I like. And I'm the same way with my friends, but like, I can't do it on like social media and in front of people. Cause like, it's not, people think I'm like so sweet and angelic and I'm going to get in trouble if I'm mean. So if I could be anybody, it would be Bianca. So I could be mean and get away with it.
I just love that it's literally like, I mean every other time, just not in front of people or social media. We can't do that. But like, I still want to be mean.
Yeah. And it's like, it feels funny to admit that, but it's like, I just said it in Work the World. And it's like, I'm not a mean person. I'm really nice. Like, I think everybody that's met me knows that about me, but people don't get to see how I am with my friends a lot of the times. So they see that and they're like, oh, why is she so awful? Why is she so mean? It's like, because I like them. So I feel comfortable enough to be like, you look ugly today, or, like whatever. I don't know.
So what is next for Kameron Michaels?
Hopefully just performing again. I'll take that. Like, book me at Mickey's. Hi. I've never worked at Mickey's. I would love to do that. Just hopefully going back to Vegas, honestly, is my first thing. We didn't get to finish out our residency. We were supposed to be residency of the cast that was there for 3 months. We only got like a month and a week, 2 weeks, month and a half, something like that. So I want to finish my residency in Vegas. And then I would have already been to Europe and back for Work the World too. And moving on to another project by now. So all that has been put on hold. So I want to do Vegas. I want to do Europe. Yeah, I just want to get back to my schedule that I had.
And my last question for you is, what is a message or words of wisdom that you have for the LGBTQIA+ community?
Yeah, I feel like that's something that has been hard right now, because there's a lot of other stuff going on right now, but it's honestly more important. And I think that's the really cool thing about our community that we realize. It's like, it's not about us right now. It's about certain of us. But we have to remember that like, we kind of have the rights we do because of Black trans people. Like that's literally why we can do a lot of the things that we do right now. And the fact that, the Black Lives Matter movement and a lot of this is happening right now, and it happened during Pride Month, is like kind of a throwback. It's like we're out in the streets protesting and like doing all these things for change. And that's kind of how we got our rights in the first place. And so it's not a bunch of like, pride floats and like, hot guys like gladiators and Speedos and shit on top of a float, but it's kind of where we originated. And that's really cool to just see everybody come together. So I don't really know if that answered your question, but I think that's the cool thing. It's like a lot of people are like the all lives matter people, all that bullshit. It's like gay people didn't even have to question giving up a lot of what we normally do for Pride Month in order to support another movement. And I think that's the really cool thing that we realize about gay people is that we grew up like as a minority too, like being bullied and all this other shit. We realize what that's like. And so for us to put ourselves on pause to help out another cause is just like at our core who we are as a community. And so I thank you to everybody that's been speaking up and like using our platforms and doing shit to help somebody else and not think about ourselves for once.
Well, thank you, Kameron, so much for being here.
Thank you.
Of course. And guys, what I want you to do is to, of course, subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and in the comment section, write what your favorite part of this interview was. Because Kameron right here has a little surprise for you, a little video message if you are randomly selected 2 weeks from now. So get ready for that. And Kameron, I know that you were also talking about a little package thing that you were doing. Do you want to tell people what that is and what they can look into?
Yeah. So I haven't decided between the two foundations. One is the Marsha P. Johnson Institute. And I'm still trying to decide between two other ones for this one. And I was going to I don't know if I want to post and have people help me pick. Anyway, I'm donating some of the proceeds from these videos to one of those foundations. But I'm doing a Digital Diva drag package. Basically what that means is you can go to my website and you can purchase one, and it's a customized video from me about whatever for whoever, if you're using it as a gift or for yourself. And it comes with a merch certificate. So I think it's like a $50 merch certificate. So you can buy merch on my website and get a video. And I'm going to give some of the money to one of these organizations to help people out. So it's helping people out too. Plus you get a video from me and merch.
Awesome. And we're going to have a link to that below, and you can click that and you can go do that and support Kameron, and then also support some great causes.
Thanks for tuning in. This is Joseph Shepard, and that is Kameron Michaels.